But God listens to Moses and turns from the course he is considering to achieve his will. God had correctly accused the people of refusing to recognize his saving grace in leading them out of Egypt. They had even abandoned Moses, whom they had given the credit to. Moses, though, speaks the truth. He seeks God's favor instead of appealing to his wrath. "Oh, Yahweh," he says, "why should your anger burn against your people whom you brought out of Egypt with a great power and a mighty hand?" Moses accepts God's invitation to engage, but does not take the greater opportunity to play this role that God invites him to. Moses does not excuse Israel, but he does appeal to the deeper heart, character, and will of God. Do not let the Egyptians, do not let the world see your wrath and think of your will as evil. Let your heart of mercy be revealed, your character of salvation. Remember the promise made long ago. Moses appeals to the whole character and promise of the covenant. The people have only deliverance from Egypt in their sights. Moses knew the full promise that God was not merely saving them from, but saving them to and for. To a promised land and for being the people of God in order to bear God's blessing to the whole world. So Moses engages God. He appeals to the heart, the character, and will of God, the overarching will of God. And God relents. The word is actually repents. God repents. God takes Moses' words seriously and changes from one very justifiable course to an action of grace and mercy to achieve the same will. Terence Fretheim writes, "It is this openness to change that reveals what it is about God that is unchangeable. God's steadfastness has to do with God's love. God's faithfulness has to do with God's promises. God's will for the salvation of all. God will always act, even make changes in order to be true to these unchangeable ways and to accomplish these unchangeable goals." After all of this profound dialogue and participation between God and Moses, Moses goes down the mountain. Israelites gone wild sounds like warfare to Joshua. I mean, they are completely out of control in the worst and most disgusting, debasing ways. Every commandment is being broken here. Moses' reaction in full view of all of this is to break the tablets God has written these very words on. Now, I think that the view that we may have of Moses carrying these tablets may be just a bit off. The Bible says that they were written by God and that he wrote on both sides of each tablet. Maybe because of, Charlton Heston or art that goes way back, we have this picture of Moses coming down the mountain with these nice curved tablets of soapstone or something. And the commandments are written there 5 on one and there are 5 on the other, right? And Moses just sort of launches these up and they break into pieces. I have no idea what the tablets actually looked like. It's quite possible that they were fairly rough hewn, and my sense is that Moses raised them above his head. He was incredibly angry, and he smashed them. You need to know that the norm of covenant making at this time would be that the covenant was written twice, fully written twice. And each side would keep a copy of the covenant that they could appeal to, that they could hold up in relationship with one another. Many scholars feel that Moses was carrying 2 copies of the covenant, written on both sides of 2 tablets. And when Moses saw what was going on, he shattered the covenant. It was a very real sign and seal of what the Israelites had done, were doing, breaking their covenant with God. Feel the weight of it. Moses certainly did. He recognizes in the behavior of the Israelites that the covenant had indeed been broken. God absolutely had a right to abandon these people. Augustine wrote, "Idolatry is worshiping anything that ought to be used, or using anything that is meant to be worshipped."